Hi, we are here with Dr. Adam Fred. He's the superintendent of Harrington Park. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me today. It's wonderful.
Thank you. So could you introduce yourself to the viewers?
Absolutely. So my name is Dr. Adam Freed. I'm the superintendent of the Harrington Park School District. I have been the superintendent in Harrington Park for the past 15 years, and I've been an educator for over 29 years.
Could you tell us a little bit about the Harrington Park? What kind of school district is it constitute of?
Absolutely. So Harrington Park is a pre-K through 8 district located in northern Bergen County in the Northern Valley. We're one of 7 sister schools. We are an incredibly diverse community with over 33% Korean, first generation Korean, which is an incredible piece of who we are as what we say Spartans. We are so proud of that and what we've done. We are a district that educationally has done wonderfully, but at the end of the day, it's really about how do we create the ripple in the world and how do we create the next future leaders? And I think that's the thing that sets us aside from other districts. One of the things, our motto is leading the way. And it's so interesting that that is a feeling that permeates not just the school, but the community itself. How do we do what's right for the environment? How do we do what's right for our seniors? How do we do what's right for the global community around us? And I think that is something as an educator we're so proud of.
Oh, that sounds so interesting. So continuation with the school district and the school, could you tell us a little bit more about the school activity or anything special about the school that is going on?
Yeah, I think one of the things we'd like to talk about is when COVID did occur, we chose to not just allow that to happen to us. We thought, how do we be aggressive and how do we change education? And last year, we ran 3 different educational programs. We took everything virtual. We were delivering content through our YouTube channel with our children. We actually even created an esports team, which was super cool for our kids. And because we couldn't play on the fields, so how do we get that feeling of a team? And I'm so proud of those kids because actually they did a great job. They won quite a few matches of schools that have been playing for years. So, we're a place where we're gonna grow you not just academically, but you're gonna become the person you are. There's a t-shirt that the kids love to wear. It says, "Once a Spartan, always a Spartan." And that's kind of what we are about, academically and socially.
Wow, the esports sounds so interesting. Could you tell us a little bit more about esports? How do they play? Is it like a video game or is it a sports game?
So it's an esports team was created. We play in the Garden State Esports League, which is super cool. We've got about 15 children that play for the team. They wear their jerseys, just like that, right?
That's awesome.
They get to play, and they were playing Rocket League in the fall. And if anyone is a gamer, they know what Rocket League's all about. And the kids did really, really well. And I think that was one of those creative things that we were trying to do differently. We took our school newspaper virtual, so the kids were writing and doing those kinds of things. And the esports team and all those different little creative things is kind of how we've changed our model of education. We're a 250-year-old system, and how do we grow and get better? I was a science teacher. So my whole thing is you either evolve or something else happens, right? And that's not always the best. So let's evolve as educators and education and move forward. And the esports team was one of them. And it was great because we had kids that would normally not participate in sports, participate. And that's something we were looking forward to.
What leads you into the education field?
So I started out as a teacher. I was an educator, and I got into administration very, very young. I was 27 when I got my first assistant principalship in Hawthorne. I became the superintendent in Harrington Park at 35, so I've been there 15 years, which is something I'm very proud of, and we are a very close community. We talk about that. Last night we were on a town council meeting and we were honoring legislation from 1965, which Councilwoman Chung had said was a very important component for us as a family. And that's kind of who we are. We are a district that loves each other and takes care of each other. So for me to be the superintendent there for the last 15 years, that's been amazing and great, because when you're part of a family, that's easy, right?
COVID was a big thing. So we would like to know how the COVID has affected your school. Was there any changes that you had to make because of the COVID?
Absolutely. So for us, COVID was an opportunity, and we thought very strongly on how do we grow educationally. We produced 4 different programs for our kids, from a fully virtual program for students and families that were not prepared to come back to school. And that's a choice that families made, and we acknowledged that. We ran a fully virtual system where we were live streaming on a daily basis, each classroom. And then we had split schedules in our middle school and another schedule for our pre-K through 3 program. So it was an incredibly intense way of getting education differently. We're delivering it differently, right? We're used to standing up in front of the room and delivering what we call content. That changed. How do we do that better? How do we do that at a level where our kids aren't going to suffer educationally? And as we checked their assessments, we found that they were growing better than we've ever seen before. So while COVID was this very, very difficult thing, educationally they were learning differently, they were studying differently, they were actually starting to communicate with each other differently, and socially getting better and better. And now when we look at some people would say this gap, I would challenge them to say, I actually don't think it's a gap. I think we've accelerated it, because now we know how to work on a virtual platform better than anyone. We know we can deliver classroom instruction, but now we can do this. And we've spent this whole summer, we've run the Spartan Summer Escape. We have over 100 children participating right now, today actually, in 33 different classes, from theater to DJ making to slime making and history. It's an incredible program that we've run all through August to kind of make sure kids, not just academically are ready, but are they socially ready? Are they ready to get back to this? And I think that's some of the things we're super proud of.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So I would like to actually know a little bit more about how you made this happen, because there's so many schools and kids are struggling from the learning loss by not interacting with the teacher. How did you bridge the gap? How did you even make it enhancement so that they can actually learn better in their individual ways, I guess?
Great question. And I would tell you that it starts in our homes. We have an incredible community. Harrington Park is a place where I was telling the group before, I have to buy more bike racks because our kids ride bikes to school still, and it feels very small town, very much of a hamlet, if you want to think of it that. So my parents did an amazing job. My staff, I got emotional when I talk about them, because they went above and beyond that I could never thank them enough, because there was never a moment of, I don't know if we can't do that. It was always like, how do we do that even better? And we'll do it for you. And my administrative team, who's been with us for years and years and years, over a decade, they are fantastic. And at the end of the day, my Board of Ed and our town council have been nothing but supportive. When you ask me that question, it is not one individual. It is what I said before, we're family. So when the family works hard at something, we're going to succeed. And when we put our mind to something in Harrington Park, we do it. Lead the way is a mindset. It's not a t-shirt. It's something we believe in, who we are.
I can actually feel the community and love surrounding it, even from the teachers and amongst each other. So 100%. That's amazing. Usually the summer school runs just to catch up with those students who are falling behind or need to make up a class. But it seems like your summer school is very different from what other schools are doing.
So for us, this is our first year doing a large expansion of our summer program. The program is incredible. It was about the idea of how do we enhance? How do we get kids back to socialize? How do we make sure that their social emotional well-being is there? That some of our kids might have been out of building for 18 months. That's a hard thing to transition back. We're expecting to be back in school full-time as of September 1. And that's a long day for kids. So how do we get them prepared? And that's what Spartan Summer Escape did. And for our kindergartners, we have something called Bright from the Start. And yesterday was actually our first day with over 20 plus little kindergartners showing up 2 weeks before school starts. And I love it because kindergartners, if you've ever seen them when they first enter the first day of school, it's who's crying and who's upset. Our kids walk in like they own the place with their fancy shirts and stuff, and they're ready to roll. That's kind of the place we've built here. And those experiences from theater to DJ production to slime making and science and coding, that's because of our staff and our families, and they've done an amazing job with that. Now next year, to answer your question, yeah, we'll be looking to open it up to anyone who wants to come because we love to have friends over.
I was going to ask you how you're preparing for this fall school year, but I think you already answered my question. The kids are already involved. They're doing different activity even throughout the summer.
Yes.
I feel like your school district actually made a Kovid into producing something different, something great, something more individualized learning for them all. So.
Yeah.
Good job.
We're
Great.
trying, and I think, look, the fall is going to be different, right? We're in a
Right.
situation with COVID and the variant, and we are hyper cautious. We are not a loosey-goosey kind of district, to tell you the truth. We are a district that only was out for just about a week last year. We only had to close once.
Oh, really?
We actually had our own PCR level test by November. So we were actually able to test our families and our students and our staff in 24 to 48 hours and get them back into facility rapidly. And I think that was a key component for us. By the time we were finished, we had over 300 hours of plus education compared to some of our other districts. And we thought that was super important. So when you were talking about the gap before, that's how we filled it, with
That's
education
amazing.
and being proactive.
So-
Scanners.
Almost like there was no gap.
Exactly.
And just was more enhancement to the
Yes.
education. That is amazing.
Yep.
And the parents can pick whether they come to school. or
100%. We had all of our staff vaccinated by the 1st of April, which was a challenge, but we got it done, and that made them feel comfortable. So of course they're going to work hard. When you feel loved and trusted, you're going to work harder than anyone.
That is true.
And that's what our kids feel every day, and I think that's the thing about Harrington Park that separates us.
With the side effect with the COVID, there's a lot of Asian hate. There was a lot of cultural problem with diversity. A lot of
100%.
different things came up. Was there any way that school dealt with that as well?
Great question. So for us, we looked at that as a challenge, and we've always looked at that as a challenge. We come from a country of all immigrants, right?
Right.
It was just, when is our time as the immigrant, right? I grew up, I have a doctorate, right? And my grandfather was a machinist. And that's something I'm so proud of. So I've always kind of looked at it like that, no matter where I've been the superintendent or as a school leader. And in April, when Atlanta occurred, we chose to do it a little differently. We as adults have our own feelings about diversity and equity, and those are emotional pieces for us. We flipped it. We asked our kids, you are the future leaders. Tell us how you think we should engage in this big conversation when it comes to equity and respect and love. And I will tell you that the kids blew us away with town hall meetings, games to show each other who they were. It wasn't so much about the food. What our kids did was they invited them into their homes through Zoom. And you knew what to cook because you had the ingredients pre,
Right.
but you were in my kitchen or
Oh,
in your
wow.
kitchen, Esther. And I think when you do that, there's something symbolic about the kitchen that makes it feel like part of your family.
Right.
And the kids just became one because of that. There is no them, us, we. We're Harrington Park, we're Spartans. And if I'm in your kitchen and you're cooking for me, that's family. How can I be angry at you? How could I be mean to you, right? I'm only going to care about you and love you. And I think that is some of the things we're most proud of as a district. We talk about that a lot, that our kids led this change because it was scary. And I think that was incredibly powerful for us to see them come together across a great diversity and say, this is what we're going to choose to do, and we're moving forward. As a school leader, you couldn't be more proud of them. could not be more proud of that challenge.
Oh, that is just
Yeah.
amazing because they are the future leaders and you're empowering them.
100%.
Do you have any advice to the viewers and Korean Americans who are watching this and who's not in your, unfortunately, school district?
That's great. Well, I know one of the things we do is we do a reverse open house. So if anyone ever wants to come and visit, they can always come and visit us. We know the realtors are always there. You know, what I would say to is become part of that community school. You know, one of the things that has enriched my life is those family members that have become part. I always talk about Councilwoman Jun Chung, who is one of the longest standing Korean councilwomen in Bergen County. And she has been a pillar for me, a friend, and a person that I can rely on. I think those are the kinds of things that as community members we can do to help each other. At the end of the day, it's not about the place, the event, it's about the feeling, like you just said before, and that made me feel good. You already felt the place without even coming into the district.
Right.
So I would say to our families, become involved, become part of it, even if it's part of our lunch program. It's so funny, we run an entire lunch program through our homeschool association. Our parents run our lunch.
Oh, wow.
Our kids receive these amazing lunches on a daily basis because of that work. That's how we do things. And we can't do that with only one set of hands. We have to do that with many hands. So I would say get involved. That's my advice.
How did it become so diverse and yet become so family-like environment?
Great question. We have grown from around 11% of Asian American population to over 33%. And one of the things we feel very strongly about is also our hiring practices. If you come to Harrington Park, you will see yourself in your mirror. And I think as an educator, you want to see that, right? You know, we have Asian American staff. We have, we had the first African American female business administrator in Bergen County work for us. She's now down in Edison. Those are things we always say, we walk the walk. You know, we're not going to put out posters and stuff about things. We're going to show you how to do it, and then there's trust behind that. And that's how we've honored it. And our kids have become that part of that Project Pride, and that's really helped. Our kids are now in those jobs, right? 15 years later, we have a gentleman who's a scientist, in Greenland, doing core samples of water and how that impacts our environment. I don't know if he would have done that had he not been involved in the programs that we've developed for these kids. Remember, academics is one thing. It is the leadership piece that we drive into. We want future leaders of America. That's the world, right? How do you create the ripple? We'll have one thing, and I'm very proud of it, that we started, it's called the Circle of Leadership. And every year we ask someone to speak to our 8th graders, and we induct them. It's not an athletic hall of fame, it's not an academic hall of fame, it is a leadership hall of fame. Our first inductee was one of our alumni, Senator Booker. He's an alumni. And if you've ever heard Senator speak, he is larger than life, and he brings you in, and it's emotional. And then the following year, we inducted Dr. Chicarico, and he's a member of our community as well. Now, Senator Booker is a football player from Stanford. He's 6'4", and he's bigger than all of us. Dr. Chicarico is maybe 5-something. Very quiet man. What was important is that our kids see that leadership doesn't have a size or a fit. You can be a leader no matter what. And every year, this living museum grows. We've had Olympians who are from Harrington Park who makes the Olympics in 1980 but misses it by a 100th of a second and misses the LA Olympics. They're speaking to the kids. It's very hard not to feel a challenge inside yourself as a young man or a woman to say, I have to do better. I have to do better, and this whole thing is about that. So that's the feeling we try to permeate in the district.
I think that just is amazing. Do you have a word that you would like to tell Korean parents or Korean kids?
I always say this to I have two little girls.
Oh.
One is a rising junior, and another is a 7th grader. And I always say to them, the academics will come. Enjoy this thing. It's like this amazing fruit bowl of life, right? And there's going to be pineapple and all these, like, it's a bit of a crazy analogy, so forgive me. But every once in a while you get a lemon. And life is going to give you that. How do you then adjust? So what I would say to our families is enjoy this life. We only get one shot at it. School is an incredible place to be. Love it, enjoy it, become a part of it. If you're a student, I would say get involved. So I guess the word is involved. Love. Maybe that's the better word. Love your school.
That sounds amazing.
That's what we'll say.
Do you have any last word?
I think for me, it's been an honor to be the superintendent in Harrington Park. It really has. And I think we have changed the way things work for us. And I think I'm really excited what the next 24 months looks like. And I would say to anyone watching this, embrace that. Embrace that change, help us evolve, and let us grow, because I'm so excited for what these kids will become. They are gritty, they are smart, they are brave, and they are magnificent. So join us in that challenge.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.